Yeah, it was kind of interesting because it just kind of kept going and going, and it actually got back to Nintendo and Capcom. And basically, when the GBA version came out, they had a little fun with it. Um, they changed the dialogue a little bit in the GBA version. I don't know, do we have a video of that? We have a video of that, so they're actually aware of everyone going, is it his sister? Is it his destiny? Is it his mother? Zelda's unhooked. Why do you do this?
You have to watch the intro. Intro of the game.
Not the end of their little joke with the fans either, actually. If you remember, they added an extra dungeon to the GBA version where there's another tile stone that has a little fun with this mystery as well.
Well, no. Unfortunately, when you beat the game, you can't go back and replay this part, and it would have taken too long to get a video of it. Basically, the extra dungeon is the Palace of the Four Sword, and before one of the bosses, your uncle's lying there, and they use the line, they spoof the original game by saying, Link, I didn't want you involved in this. I told you not to leave home. You must rescue Princess Zelda. You are the princesses, ...
Literally just to mess with you.
Yeah. So they were having fun. The Japanese versions of subsequent games, the Game Boy Advance versions and the Virtual Console version, they all of them say the same thing. So it's never said anything else other than Zelda is your ... or what the Game Boy Advance version said. So it's been uniform across. So that was one that was never true.
All right. Who has ever debated, argued, or just beat someone over their timeline theory? All right. How many of you actually think Zelda does not have a timeline? There's always a few. Yeah?
Wait, who thinks there's no timeline? Alright, we have a message from the creator of Zelda 3. Or AJ Aonuma, one of the directors of Zelda, sorry.
Up there. Use your imagination.
I can't say, but I guess for now, maybe, yeah. There's still a here for games that actually might be covered. Why don't we start off with gameplay or with the storyline? Kind of depends on so many different features included in the game that I hope that you'll experience for games that actually might be covered.
Okay, if you don't know, this is the man who directed Majora's Mask, Wind Waker,
You might
kind
think
of
it's
our
just a handheld game that includes shoulders that switch the places, but there are so many different features included in the game that I hope that you'll experience them all and really, really play it through. Just because it's a handheld doesn't
It's coming up once
something
again.
quick to get through. Whether we start off with gameplay or with the storyline kind of depends on what type of game we're playing. For example, with Twilight Princess, if we didn't have the story, we wouldn't be able to come up with the gameplay and how the player would progress through that story. But with Phantom Hourglass, because it was a sequel to The Wind Waker, the story was kind of set. Staff kind of knew where they had to, where they were coming from. So the environment having been set, they could kind of play with the gameplay. There is one document that's on the front PC and a couple of PCs in this department, and it's stamped Big Red Confidential. It's not as though when they go in to create a game that they know exactly where it'll fit in the timeline, but after it's complete, they know more or less where it might fit.
There you go right there. They have it on a couple PCs like the FBI or something.
And Miyamoto said in an interview in 2003 that he also reiterated before that interview that there was some master document connecting all the Zelda games at Nintendo's headquarters in Japan, and that it's completely top secret. They go to it when they make a new Zelda game, and they get the concept for where its relative placement will be from that. So there is one, but we don't know if it's always been around. We don't know when that document was created, but there is a timeline now, so sorry.
So, okay, the big thing about the timeline is, you can't just think of the Zelda games as all being made by one person or this whole group of people sit down and think about it. The reality is, the Zelda storyline as we pretty much know it, or the majority of it, was actually written by one person. I want to bring up the picture. His name is Yoshiaki Koizumi. He graduated from Visual Concept Planning Department of Osaka University of Arts. He initially was hired on by Nintendo to work on the manual for A Link to the Past. Now, what he ended up doing, if you want to show that picture, he went a little overboard on his little story. Because he actually is he's a film student. He kind of like, just goes over being a writer, director, screenplay guy. What he ended up doing was, his first job was just to write, okay, throw in a backstory to Link to the Past, and here's kind of what we have going. So he ended up making this huge, long story. He pretty much created the canon of Zelda. Because before that, it was really like, there's a blue pig, he wants this chick because she has a magical triangle. Go. And then in the second game, they kind of got a little serious about it, but, it was still pretty much basic, like, pigs are angry, they want their daddy back, so, they're going to put your blood in that, sprinkle, your blood on Ganon's ashes. So that was pretty much it. And so Link to the Past comes along, and he decides, well, he decides to spruce things up. He basically goes on this huge rant about there was these three goddesses, Din, Feror, Nehru. They created Hyrule, they created the Triforce itself. He did this whole thing about an imprisoning war, a band of thieves led by Ganondorf. Everything was pretty much written by this guy for the manual, because it really wasn't talked about in the game. It was kind of like, oh, Ganon wanted the power of gold. That was kind of like the extent of the backstory within the game itself. You don't really get any of the nitty-gritty details unless you read the manual, which was written by Yoshiaki Koizumi. So that is pretty much how the original Mythos got started. His next project would be Link's Awakening. I don't know if any of you ever played Link's Awakening. Yes, one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Now, with Link's Awakening, Koizumi was actually given full reign of everything. He wrote the manual story, he wrote the in-game story, he came up with the events, everything. As he said in an interview about, I think, a year ago, he said the whole island, the dream, the egg, the windfish, that was all me. It was all his idea. Miyamoto was really off hands from Link's Awakening. It was not really his project per se. And he's actually been quoted saying, Miyamoto thinks Link's Awakening is one of his favorites just because he didn't actually have to work on it. So, and if anyone's actually paid really close attention, the story to Link's Awakening is just disturbingly dark and depressing. I mean, you pretty much end up killing every